Guys, Adam Bartomeo here with Century 21 Birchwood down in Cape Coral, Florida. Coming at you today, finishing up our series, or having another part of our series, from facts, how to find a great real estate agent. Today we're going to go over some questions on what you should be asking when you interview your agents. So at a minimum, you want to interview at least 2 agents. If you could do 3 or 4, that would be preferable, so you can get a good idea of what different companies do, the different commission structures and things of that nature, and different agents as well. So within something like, say, Century 21, who I'm with, you have different Century 21s. We have 3 just in Cape Coral alone. And that broker might manage that brokerage a little bit differently, even though it's Century 21, they're their own entity, really. Not only that, but you're going to have different agents that work for that company. So you got Remax, you got Century 21, you have Keller Williams, then you also have the different franchise owners, different brokerages, and then you have different agents underneath all those different brokerages. So you want to interview at least a couple to sell your most valuable asset. Now, it doesn't take much, as you learned in an earlier series, to get licensed. You just have to really pass a test and then you're licensed at that point. So you want to get people that are very knowledgeable, and that's why you want to ask very specific questions. So the first question is, are you full-time or are you part-time real estate agent? Do you have another job? Okay, that's what we're really trying to find out, because how can you sell a home if you have another job? How can you sell my most valuable asset, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 home, when you're only doing it 10 hours a week? Very difficult to do that. How are you going to answer the phone when another agent calls you with a question, or a buyer calls you and wants to see that house? You're going to have to reschedule that or answer it another time, because you're not going to have the time to go out there because of your other job. So how are they going to find buyers? That's part of the full-time, part-time question, right? How are you going to find buyers if you're not full-time? If you're part-time doing 10, 12 hours a week, how are you going to sell my home? And then also, how are you going to find buyers for my home? It becomes very difficult at that point. I did it. I did it for a year and I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't serve 2 masters. I had to pick either corporate America or I had to pick real estate. And I chose real estate, and I've been doing this full-time. So the next thing you want to know is, how many years of experience do you have in real estate? Now, there's different levels of real estate as a real estate agent. Have you flipped homes? Have you had rentals? Do you own your own home? There's a lot of agents that don't even own their own home. How can you sell houses if you don't even own a home? It seems a little weird to me. You know, how would you work at a Ford dealership and drive a Chevy? It just doesn't make sense. You got to own a home. So that would be something very specific to me and my level of experience. Not only that, but how many years have you been selling homes? How many people have you helped? So how much experience do you have? How many listings do you currently have? How many have you sold this year? How many have you sold, in your lifetime? Some people won't know because they've been doing this for that long. Others will know because they haven't sold any at that point. But it's a very good question to ask to gauge their experience. Now, I'm not saying that just because they haven't sold a home doesn't mean they can't. It's just letting you know the level of experience they have and where they might be able to help if things do go sideways and the house is overpriced, or it's a little bit of a fixer-upper and what you need to do to enhance that to make it more marketable. So you want to know about the brokerage. They need to explain to you about Century 21, why they chose Century 21, and why you should choose Century 21 over Remax or Keller Williams or whoever it might be at that point. You'll be surprised that some of these smaller brokerages, they can't do as much as some of the bigger brokerages. It's very tough for them, very difficult for them to market the property correctly. And that's why they charge a lower commission a lot of times, because they can't compete with the bigger brokerages, so they charge a lower commission in order to cut corners, but it entices you. You say, oh, I'm only going to pay 5%. Well, that comes at a cost, because that brokerage, that larger brokerage, does a lot of marketing for the property. And it helps you find buyers, and then also helps the seller sell the property based on the websites, the marketing that they do. So something to keep in mind, what brokerage are you with, and the question is, why are you an agent? Like, why did you start selling houses? There's really not a whole lot of people, I'm one of them that's really passionate about real estate. Not a whole lot of people that get into real estate because they love real estate. Now, there are some, don't get me wrong, and there are some people that just love sales, and this is also a sales position. But you get a lot of people that just wandered into the business and wanted to make $1 million, and that's why they sell houses. Personally, I would prefer an answer of, I'm real passionate about real estate. I love real estate. I love selling houses. I love helping people. And that's really why I got into the business. But those are the type of answers I want to hear, because they're going to be more on your side. And they're going to build more of a trust and friendly relationship with you than, say, the guy that's just out for it for the dollars. And all they're going to do is hound you until you lower the property, lower the property, lower the property, and then that property sells. If they really care and they've gotten into it because they love real estate and because they love helping people, then that changes the atmosphere a little bit. They're going to do everything they possibly can to try and sell that property for you at the most money and in the fastest amount of time. And that's really what most people are looking for. I want to sell it at top dollar, right? But I want to sell it in the quickest time with the least amount of hassle. Well, if I have somebody that doesn't care or is just in it for the money, they're just going to tell me to sell it at the lowest price. So you've got to be careful of that. So the next part is, how are you going to sell the house? What are you going to do that is different from all the other agents out there? I hear it quite a bit from sellers. One, they don't know a whole lot of questions to ask. They really don't. They come down to the bottom line of, how much is it worth and what's your commission? Well, those probably aren't the best questions to ask, right? Because if I say I'm at 10% and then the other guy says he's at 5%, who are you going to go with? Well, you're going to go with the guy that's at 5%, of course, right? It's cheaper. Why wouldn't I? Well, would I want to go with the cheapest brain surgeon out there, diagnosed with cancer? I got brain cancer, and you know what? You're cheaper. I'm going to go with you. No, I want to go with the smartest young man or young lady that's going to do the job, do it properly, and make sure they save my life. That's ultimately what I want done. I want the house sold. So the commission shouldn't really be a huge factor in there when you're comparing apples to apples. A lot of people think being a real estate agent is just put it on the MLS and you're done. What do you do for me? You don't do anything. That is true for a lot of agents. There are so many agents out there that's all they do. But that's why you want to get down to the point of, how are you going to sell the property? Well, I'm going to put it on the MLS and I'm going to put a sign in the yard. Okay, what else? Well, I'm going to go knock on every door within a half-mile radius of your house, because I know that 25% of people know somebody within a mile radius. So I'm going to try and get to those folks before any of the other agents do and show them your house so I can sell the property to them. I'm going to phone call 1 million people. I'm going to put it on 600 different websites. I'm going to get a drone out there. You're going to do all these different things that are going to help separate them from the competition, because if they don't, then it doesn't really matter what the commission is, right? 5%, 4%, I'm going to go with the lowest person. You want the person that's best suited for the job of selling your home. Does that make sense? Do you really understand that, right? I don't take my car to a mechanic that is the cheapest. I take it to a mechanic that's going to fix it so I can get to work every day and drive and help people. Not the guy that's the cheapest that it just might be broken next week and I might have to go back to him and say, hey, fix my car again. Hey, fix my car again. You didn't diagnose it properly. No, I want the best person for the job. So are they going to do open houses as well? 18% of people still go to open houses and buy a house through an open house. So it is important. You'll hear a lot of agents say, oh, it's a waste of time. You don't do anything there. And statistics say 18% of people still buy a house through an open house. I bought 2 of my houses through an open house. So it works. So these have been some questions for you on how to interview agents, what questions to ask them in order for them to sell the most valuable asset that you have in your life. Some people just go with their brother, their sister, and that's okay because they trust them. But that doesn't mean they're the most qualified person. I'm not going to have my brother or sister, even though they are a doctor, I'm not going to have them do brain surgery on me or open heart surgery on me because they're a doctor of history, or they're a doctor of mathematics, or they're a doctor of something else. Maybe they're a pediatrician. I'm still not going to have them do open heart surgery on me, even though I trust them. You have to have the right person in there to do the job. So you should be interviewing different agents at all levels. Trust is a big part of what an agent does. You have to be able to trust them with your most valuable asset. And I understand why people will automatically go to a friend or a family member, but you'd be surprised at how many of those folks just don't really know what they're doing because they don't know how to sell houses. There's 2 parts that every agent has to learn in real estate. They have to learn about real estate. It's a completely different animal than anything else that's out there. Okay? It's an investment. is what it is. It's not a car that depreciates, it appreciates and is your most valuable asset. Not only that, the second thing they have to learn is sales. That's what we do. We sell houses. We either sell you a house when you're buying, or we sell your house for you or help you sell the house. So there's a sales process, and you have to be able to sell other agents, and not only that, but buyers on why that listing is something that they should purchase. So it's a big spectrum out there of things that people have to learn. So when these folks get into this industry, it becomes very difficult for them to succeed. 90% failure rate in Southwest Florida in the first year. 90% of agents fail in the first year in Southwest Florida. So out of 100, only 10 make it longer than a year. After that year, only 75% of those will make it 2 years. So huge failure rate. Who are you going to put your most valuable asset in the hands of? You have to ask the questions. You have to get familiar. You have to do the research on some of these folks and know that they are the right agent. And it might even be a brand new agent, and that's okay. If you're comfortable with that and you think they can sell that house and they've been doing sales for their entire lives, they just don't know real estate that well. If they're with a big company like Century 21 or they're on a team, then they'll be able to help with that. They'll be able to reach the people. If they're on Bob's Brokers, it's just not going to work out for them too well if this is their first year selling real estate. So you got to be careful of that kind of stuff. But I hope this is